Being a fat ass.
Hey Schwab, is that link that you posted on Twitter, is that working?
Which one?
The one you just posted of the podcast, like the live stream.
Oh, I have no idea. I threw up the edited post with just a link to the Twitch. Until we get there we go.
All right.
Live. All right, y'all. Welcome back. This is the May 25th edition of the GIIG Podcast. Right now, we talking NBA, we talking NHL, talking a little bit of NFL too. Say what's up to everybody. Shane, what up? Back with the Bucks. I see
What
you.
up?
What's the word? DJ, what's happening?
What's up, bro?
Kevin, what's going on?
Same stuff, different day, right?
Yes, sir. All right, we can get right into it. We got a blowout going on right now. Net Celtics. So if you're watching this and you ain't, of course you're watching this, you ain't watching NBA because you're watching us. Don't turn on the NBA game right now. 58-32 and counting, and we still got 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Shane, what's going on in this series, bro?
Well, it's hopefully going to be a 4-game series because I've seen enough Boston Celtics basketball this year. They were on national TV like 100 times. They have one good player, one of the worst fan bases in all the NBA. I hate everything about Boston sports, so I'm thoroughly enjoying this beatdown.
Kevin, you got anything to add?
I mean, I really thought it was going to be at least a little bit of a series. I mean, looking over the chart we put together, the Celtics were at least make them earn it.
DJ, anything?
I disagree with Shane about one good player. Jaylen Brown is good too.
Yeah, but he's not playing.
But he's not there. But yeah, what's happening there now is that's what I expected. I thought Boston was like gonna steal a game, maybe at home. I picked the Nets in 5, I think, or something. But yeah, I didn't expect for nothing to happen. Boston, even when they had everybody playing well, they still didn't look like a team worth anything. And so what we seeing is I think what most people expected. Unless you live in Boston, then in that case, then you don't really matter.
All right. So we'll keep it to the Eastern Conference. Shane, you got a Bucks hat on right now. And the last time we met, you was rocking it, and you had some words for us for the Bucks. So let us know what's going on with those Bucks sitting on top of your head in their series with the Heat.
So on the betting show that me and you did last Thursday, I gave out for free to everybody listening the Bucks for the series minus 330. I said it was a joke of a line. I said it should have been closer to minus 550. And game one, it was pretty much a coin flip at the end. Middleton obviously hits the big shot. Game two, just an absolute blowout. I said it was going to be a 5-game series. I would not be the least bit surprised if it was a sweep, and I stick by that. I'll still say what I originally thought, that I'll give Miami 1 game at home, but it ain't going past 5 games. I think it's like I said on the betting show, this Milwaukee team is better than they were last year, and this Miami team is not quite as good. I don't think people really realized the upgrade Drew Holiday was over Eric Bledsoe. It's a big deal. And that starting 5 they put out is tough, man. They're tough defensively. They can score, they can shoot, they're long. I mean, we're gonna get Boston or the Nets in Milwaukee in the next series, and that's gonna be fantastic. And I'm sticking with what I said. I got Milwaukee winning the East. And obviously, Bryn Forbes isn't going to come in and shoot like he did every game, but they're tough, man. As long, like I said, what I told you the other night, Mike, as long as that Budenholzer doesn't screw it up and he lets Middleton and Giannis and Drew play 38 minutes, Milwaukee's going to win the East. And I'm sticking with that.
But does he not screw it up though?
Well, like if I had a guarantee that Budenholzer was going to play those guys 38 minutes, I'd have put a lot more money. I did on Milwaukee.
Nah, the Bucks gonna buck soon. Like maybe not this series because this series not looking good for Miami, but I feel like the Bucks are gonna buck in this next series against the Nets. Like I do like Drew Holiday. I think he's a very talented and underrated player, but like Giannis, at a certain point, you could take him out the game, like in crunch time. He just kind of just be like chilling, and like how you the 2-time MVP, and in crunch time, you not touching the ball. You the 2-time MVP, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, and it's offensive possessions in crunch time where you are not involved. You just standing there waiting for somebody to throw you a lob and all this other stuff. And so like I feel like the next series is gonna be a good series, but I do got the Nets taking it. But go ahead.
I can't think of a worse. I mean, the teams among the really bad teams, I'm sure there's some really bad in-game adjustment coaches. But as far as quality teams out there, does anybody have a worse coach as far as in-game adjustments than the Bucks with Budenholzer?
Well, Steve Nash, we don't know what he do. So like, I don't know like if he's the worst coach.
Steve Nash just rolls the ball. Steve Nash is basically an AAU coach.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so I don't think look. I'm no Budenholzer fan. I've explained this before the season, and now like he was horrible in the bubble last year. But I think people kind of have this idea of Milwaukee that they're just definitely gonna choke, and they're not
people.
and well, no, and that's I'm in the minority here. You're what you think is the general consensus. Nobody really believes that Milwaukee is going to get over the hump and finally win the East and make the finals. Yeah, I do. I really
story before, and now they have a tougher team in front of them. Like,
but they're better now.
They 100%. Okay,
they're better.
The Nets are better than the Raptors were. They 100% should have beat the Raptors that year.
Okay, well that's I mean, I'm not gonna predict something that's gonna happen now based on what happened 2 years ago. This is Milwaukee's best team. Out of the last 3 years, this is Milwaukee's best team. That's not even, there's no arguing that. Drew Holiday over Bledsoe is a huge upgrade.
And who guarding Kevin Durant? That's all I want to know.
Yep.
I mean, you could say that for any team in the league. Nobody can guard Kevin Durant. But it's like, more than that. Who's going to guard Giannis? Like, we've seen what Giannis can do against Nets. Like, the Nets are a bad defensive team. Like, that's not even, like, we know that. I mean, there's been teams. Go ahead.
No. When they played them, everybody wasn't there. So like, if you got Giannis doing his thing, KD doing his thing, like, all right, now it's Chris Middleton, Harden, then it's Kyrie, Drew, and it's like guys gonna have to play on both sides. And in these first 2 games, the reason why the Nets are doing what they're doing is because they have an effort defensively that I haven't really seen with them all season. And so, like, Giannis is going to be able to do what Giannis is going to be able to do, but in crunch time, all that going out the window. And in these games, like, Giannis, well, especially, like, in that first game, Giannis didn't touch the ball in crunch time. So, Chris Middleton, you telling me Chris Middleton in crunch time is beating the Nets? I need to see it.
We will see. I mean, we're going to get it for sure. Like, I don't even think that's a question at this point. I'm a fan of what Milwaukee does. I think like nobody can stop the Nets offensively. Like we know what they are. We know what that 3-headed monster is. And even a guy like Joe Harris can bury you, especially playing around these guys. But I think Milwaukee can do it. And I think I will say this, like, to me, I favor the winner of Milwaukee and the Nets easily over Philadelphia.
You don't believe in Philly?
No, I don't.
At all?
I mean, I think Philadelphia is going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't think they're beating the Nets or Milwaukee in a 7-game series. I don't think they have enough.
All right, well, let's talk about Philly while we're here. Let's talk about Philly. Let's stay in the East. Let's talk about Philly, the 76ers and the Wizards. Philly's up 1-0. Shane, you like that matchup, so I'm gonna stay with you because you like the Wizards, to make that a competitive matchup. And when we talked, you wanted the Wizards to get that slot. So I'm gonna keep it with you. Let's talk some more East Conference. Sixers Wizards. And then we can talk about the Sixers a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think the Wizards could win the series, but I think they could make it competitive. I still kind of do. I think they can win a game, maybe 2. To Tobias Harris, if he's going to play like that, then it's a short series. But is Tobias Harris going to, is that a mirage? Is he going to play like that every game? Something DJ just brought up is interesting. He says he doesn't like Chris Middleton in crunch time. I don't like Ben Simmons in crunch time. I don't like what Philadelphia has outside of Embiid as far as like taking the next step. Embiid is, if he didn't get hurt, he was going to be the MVP, right? Like he was having a better year than Jokic until he got hurt. He is fantastic. But outside of him, they're good, but I can't favor them over Milwaukee or Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn probably, that's probably a 5-game series. I think they could run them out of the gym. I really do. And I think Milwaukee, that's probably a longer series, but I would favor Milwaukee over them as well. I'm just not really a fan of outside of Embiid of what they have to get over the hump, to make the finals, to beat one of these teams. Because we've said, everybody knows, this is a 3-team race all year in the East. And I think the majority of people say, yeah, Brooklyn's the best team. I think Brooklyn's going to win. And then it's like Milwaukee and Philly are pretty close. To me, I rank it, like I said, I'm sticking with Milwaukee. I rank it Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and then Philly. And I do not, my money will be on, I will fade Philadelphia hard in the Eastern Conference Finals. Because they're not going to lose to Washington in the series. They're not going to lose to, I think Atlanta will probably, Atlanta or the Knicks is not going to beat Philadelphia. But Philadelphia will not get past the Brooklyn-Milwaukee winner.
DJ, Schwab, thoughts?
Nah, I think he's right. I'll go as far as to say maybe Philly takes 2 against Brooklyn, but they're not beating them 4 times. Not going to happen.
Yeah, so if Milwaukee beat the Nets, that's a big if. They definitely beating the 76ers. But if the Nets going, I'm with Schwab, maybe 5-6 games. But I do think that the Nets will win, even though Joel Embiid is their biggest weakness. And we really haven't seen the Nets with all of their guys consistently play against these good teams. So we talking about, Giannis went crazy against them. So did Kevin Durant, but it wasn't no Harden. And then Harden had a stretch where he looked like the best player in the league for 20 games. He was doing a bunch of crazy stuff. It was only him out there, and the Nets went on a crazy run. They was 17-3 in 20 games or something. And so we haven't seen the big 3 of the Nets consistently play. I think somebody said today they play 9 games, and so it's going to be interesting. But I do agree with Shane as far as Ben Simmons in crunch time. He just gonna be out there, he just gonna be, I don't know, getting cardio, and so Tobias Harris is going to have to step up for them to really take that next step, because they got good role players and they got a solid bench, but their key to me is Tobias Harris. What kind of player do you want to be? And so we don't know yet, but yeah, I'm not picking them to come out the East at all.
Right. To the Tobias Harris point too, it's we know he's capable of doing what he did on Sunday, but consistently, I don't think so. I mean, you got to be consistent in the playoffs, and you got to have that second guy that can get off at any time. And I mean, we know it's not Ben Simmons. And do we trust Tobias Harris? I don't think so. And, it's just, look, I'm well aware. Brooklyn at their best, they're going to win. They will win the NBA Finals. Like if everybody plays to their maximum potential, Brooklyn's the best team in the league. Yeah. But I still need to see it. I still need to see them in a tight playoff series. I still need to see how that ball is going to move in a tie game in the fourth quarter. Is it going to turn into ISO ball? What's it going to, what's going to happen? What adjustments are going to be made? I don't know.
That's the thing, though. I agree with that point. But with them, if it turns into like ISO ball, they have like some of the best ISO players in the world. And then you not helping. Like you are never helping. Like the Lakers be helping on Devin Booker. Like you can't help on none of their like big three. So that's why like I'm not worried about them when it does get tight, because all those guys can create their own shot. Like,
which is right. I agree. Which is why Milwaukee, from a stylistic standpoint, makes sense. They're long and athletic. They can bother them. They can't stop them, but they can bother them. Drew Holiday can bother Kyrie Irving. Like Giannis, Middleton. They're long and lengthy. They can get at KD a little bit. They can't stop them, but they can frustrate them. And we know Milwaukee can get really, really hot from three. And Brooklyn's there's a lot of defensive questions there. So I just I'm really, from a fan standpoint, like my money's going to be on Milwaukee, but like just from a fan standpoint, I mean, that's a great matchup.
Yeah. And as I look now, it's halftime, 71-47.
Get Boston out of here, man. Get them out of here. I'm so sick of it. All year
get them out of here.
How many national TV games did they get this year?
47 probably.
It's ridiculous, dude.
I don't know.
Jason Tatum's only 19, so he got a long way to go. So yeah, I'll go back one last Eastern Conference matchup, which this was actually a matchup that I like really look forward to. Outside my Mavericks, who we're gonna talk about. But so we got Knicks, Hawks, Trae Young impressed. We were kind of talking about it in the chat while it was going on. Schwab, I'll start with you. Knicks, Hawks, what do you like about this matchup? We had our picks and whatnot. I took the Knicks myself. So what you feeling about this matchup? What you like there?
I did too. The most out of his players for a little while, and they're still kind of in enough of that honeymoon period. Trae Young's going to be a monster to deal with, and he gets the game winner in game one and quiets the guard and shuts Spike Lee up. And it should be really good back and forth with those two.
Okay. DJ?
I picked the Knicks too, but like in 7, I think. And I think that you do have conflicting styles. Like Schwab said, Tibbs going to make them guys play defense. And then with Atlanta, they trying to score. We'll stop y'all like on the way to scoring. And so something is going to have to give. But people doing all that talking, and it was a 2-point game. The Knicks' best player had a terrible game, and it's a 2-point game. Like, who else was out there scoring? So, like, you got Rose, you had Quickly, you had other guys, like, chipping in. RJ Barrett had a decent game. And so the Knicks only lost by 2 with their best player having a terrible game. And so that lets me know that the series should be a tight series, but I still got the Knicks in 7. Over the over the Hawks, and Trae Young is gonna do his thing, but I still got the Knicks.
We had Alec Burks with 27 also. So
Shane, that was nuts.
Shane, I know you rock with Trae Young time and time again. Talk to me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, put some respect on the guy's name, man. I'm look like. He's got that, the stigma of he was drafted over Luka. Like, so he's going to that's going to be the connection all his whole career, which is really not fair. He didn't, he got picked where it's like Trubisky, right? It's not his fault where he got drafted. He's not as good as Luka, but he's really fucking good. and he's only going to keep getting better. And finally, and we talked about this. Lloyd Pierce was a horrific coach. He had to go. And Nate McMillan has been a very good NBA coach for a long time. And ever since he took over the team, look at how good they are. Like, I picked the Knicks to win this series in 7. I really didn't have a strong feel on it. I feel like it could go either way. And I'm usually not one to overreact to game ones, but I'm going to overreact. And I'm going to say Atlanta's going to win this thing in 6. They got a lot of offensive firepower, man. Like, they can shoot you out the gym. They got snipers around Trey. Like, that's quietly like they built a nice roster there. And I don't know what Thibodeau's going to do game 2 adjustments for Trae Young, but man, that pick and roll, he was just getting in the lane like it's nothing. And he's got great vision. He can kick it out to a shooter. He can, dump pass to somebody in the block, or he could put a floater up. And you know what? I'm glad that he's kind of calmed down on just bombing the threes and realizing that, man, he can get into the paint without anybody really able to stop him, and he can create from there. And like, he keeps doing that, and he's well coached by McMillan. Like, the sky's the limit for this kid. It's fun to watch. Like, I think this is going to be a really fun series. I don't probably not going to be many blowouts. Should be good competitive games. And like DJ said, that's a great point about Randall. Randall was pretty bad, but there's something that I know that I noticed, and I know Mike's going to remember this. RJ Barrett, I love him. Me and Mike were Duke fans. But man, he turns into a ball stopper and forces up a lot of bad shots that can really throw off the rhythm of an offense. We saw him do it at Duke, and I watched, and I'm not going to say I watched a ton of Knicks basketball this year, but just watching that game the other night, it kind of reminded me, and it's like, man, that is not going to work in the playoffs.
Right.
And I just think Atlanta's got a little more. And I think they have more offensive firepower, and I think they're going to win it in 6. And I don't think they can beat Philadelphia, but I think they can make it fun. Like, Atlanta's a fun team to watch, right? Up and down, shooters, athleticism. I like it. Well coached.
I'm looking at our chart. All us picked the Knicks. So
I didn't feel great about it. Like, I think I picked the Knicks in 7. It's like, I think the series price
is 6 or 7. So
yeah, I think that was the closest, the smallest price as far as the odds went. I think Atlanta was like minus 120 for this to win the series.
Yeah,
so
that was like you said, it was a pick'em series.
Yeah,
you had 2 young teams that are like matched up in a way that their styles are going to conflict. But like, if you tell me that the Knicks won, okay. If you tell me that the Hawks won, then okay. It wouldn't shock me either way, because they both like super young teams that ain't never been there. They got stars on their team that ain't never been there as well.
All right, we can swing to another close series. The other close series which I picked, these boys, I got them in 7. All the rest of y'all picked them in 6. So competitive series, I think we all thought it was going to be. I did think the Mavs going to get off to a good start in this series. I even really had them winning the first 2 games. I thought it was going to go like 2-2, 1-1-1. So let's talk Mavs Clippers. Come on tonight. Right aside the Lakers game. So that's going to be interesting, but we'll talk about the Lakers next. But let's talk Mavs Clippers. Why y'all pick against me? Shane, why do you pick against me?
I mean, I just didn't think, and I still kind of don't think, and don't get me wrong, I'm rooting for Dallas. I hate the Clippers. But I just don't think they have enough. I mean, but I don't know, man. Like, the Clippers, Jesus. I don't know. This is wild. Like, this is, of all the game 2s, we're talking about like must win. This is a must win for the Clippers. Mm-hmm. And I hate like saying that when it's 1-0 in a series, but man, you like, after what happened last year in the bubble, and don't forget, like, when Kawhi and Paul George teamed up, remember that night in Vegas, Twitter went nuts. They had them. They immediately became the favorite. Like everybody like wrote them in like they are about to go on a run. This is going to be a dynasty. The Clippers are back. They're going to win a championship. And all of a sudden, well, wait a minute, they gagged a 3-1 lead in the bubble, and now they dropped the opening game. And I still think the Clippers are going to win the series, but man, this Dallas team is tough. Like you got Luka, who's a top 5 player in the league right now, and you surround him with guys that can just bury you from 3, and they're well coached against a team that has proven nothing in the playoffs. With I don't know, man. Like I would not put any money on this. I'm just going to kind of sit back and just take this in because if Dallas were to pull this off, I mean, what a story that'd be. Kawhi is gone.
DJ, you smiling, man. What's going on?
Because, man, like we don't know what Kawhi is going to do. Like he one of those guys where, like we don't know. And then me and Mike, we always talk about him. Like, and then when he do talk and when he is doing things, it's always funny. But like they could lose, and then he could just sign a max right with them or whatever. But I picked the Clippers because I thought that having Ty Lue was gonna make a difference, and then Rondo as well. But Patrick Beverly still is playing a lot of minutes. And so I don't think Dorian Finney-Smith is going to be Klay Thompson again for the rest of the series. So I think it's going to be different. And then they saw these guys last year, so you got to make adjustments. And then at a certain point, like you got all these veteran guys that's like made deep playoff runs. Some of the guys then won like championships. They got to count for something. Luka is great, but what is Kawhi? Is he not great? Pandemic P supposed to be great, but we don't know. And they did have both of them didn't really have great shooting games. They was kind of short. When I look at the Clippers, I don't necessarily see a team. I see like a bunch of guys that's just there. Like they don't really seem like they're in sync. And so the best way to do that, to like combat that, is you got to have a point guard that directs and get people in a spot. So I think Rondo has to play longer. Like playoff Rondo, that's actually a thing because he does things in the playoffs that he don't do in the regular season. So I thought that, veteran guys getting a point guard to Ty Lue was going to be the biggest difference. And that was nothing to take away from Carlisle or Luka. And also, I figured that KP wasn't going to show up either, like he did in the first game. I thought he was just going to be out there getting cardio. And so that was the thing that concerned me. But Dallas is like a super fun team to watch, though. I really like how they play.
I'm gonna definitely have to find out why the KP hate. We're gonna do that tomorrow on Good If It Goes Down. Me and DJ. So we're gonna have our first ever Good If It Goes commercial break. All right, so jump back on the feed. We're gonna go to commercial. We'll be right back.